Hello and welcome to a very new and exciting series, Cook and Teach My Take. It's the series where I'm going to take classic recipes and put my spin, my flavor, my pizzazz, my take on that recipe. Today, I've got a classic and one that is near and dear to my heart. It's PB&J. Here's how I make it. It's peanut butter jelly time. Here's what we are going to do for my take on the classic and always easy to make peanut butter and jelly sandwich. In order to do that, we need the two ingredients. We need peanut butter and we need jelly. Here is what I'm going to do today. So I've got some peanuts here. I'm using dill pickle peanuts. Okay, these are premium Virginia peanuts. We need that, and we need a blender. So into the blender, we're going to add our peanuts. Now, I'm adding roughly about 12 ounces of these peanuts. Okay, if they are not roasted, toasted, okay, you can stick them in the oven, 350 degrees on a flat cookie sheet for about 10 to 15 minutes. This will allow the natural oils of the peanut to slowly be released, and that's what we want. That's what's going to give it its creaminess, its flavor, that just classic peanut butter texture. These have already been roasted, so if you buy pre-roasted peanuts, that's perfect, and that's all we need. Okay, so into our blender it goes. We're going to turn this bad boy on, and we are going to blend on high. Now, as you can see, our peanuts have more of a powdery looking consistency. That's okay, that's what we want. This is going to take a couple of blends, a couple of different times to get this to start to really form that delicious texture. If you need, I've got about 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. We're going to just put a little bit of that in here now. Give it that creaminess, okay? And again, we will start to blend. I'm going to go ahead and pulse this and just kind of get some of that vegetable oil in there. Now, what you will start to notice is that some of the peanuts are going to start to stick to the sides. So every now and then, stop, use a spatula, push all those sides down, and then continue to blend. I'm going to do this for another 2 to 3 minutes, and I will see you then for our finished product. All right, that's been about 2 to 3 minutes of pulsing and then pushing that peanut butter down. As you can kind of see, we've got a good consistency. Okay, this is a little bit more thicker. Make sure as you go that you taste test as you go. Oh yeah, that's right where we want it. Okay, perfect. So now that our peanut butter is set, this can go off to the side. Next up, got to make our jelly, right? As the song goes, peanut butter jelly time, right? Can't have PB&J without a little bit of that J. Now, I have about a pound here of seedless red grapes. A lot of people say that they want to use, Concord grapes because it just really has that grapey texture to it. This is what I have, so this is what I'm using. Use whichever type of grape you prefer. Okay, into a flat pot that goes. Now, you're going to need splash of water, okay? No more, no less. Okay, splash of water. Next, you're going to want something to mash our grapes with, okay? Now, we're just going to initially get a good mashing of these grapes before they go on to our stove top. Once they're on our stove, we're going to cook these on low for about 10 to 15 minutes, okay? Until everything starts to kind of melt. And you've got more of a, what looks like a jelly consistency, okay? After those have cooked for about 10 to 15 minutes, we are going to strain to get rid of any of the impurities, the skins, anything that might be left in there. We don't want our jelly to be, you know, too clumpy and chunky. We want it to be smooth, okay? Then that's when we add the sugar, and that's when the magic happens. Okay, so again, you want to smash these. Should look roughly a little something like that, okay? Still some chunks of grape in there, but a lot of it is mashed and kind of opened up. With that little splash of water, I can already see some residual liquid here. That will boil off once we get it on the stovetop. I will see you over there shortly. All right, so we're over here at the stovetop. I've got our smashed jelly, or excuse me, our smashed grapes in the pot. You can already start to hear it kind of starting to sizzle as the pan starts to heat up. Again, it is super important for this to work that you are stirring consistently, okay? We do not want any of these grapes to burn, okay? The taste of burnt grape jelly is not appealing in this situation, okay? Now, as you start to mix, again, you're going to start to see some more of that kind of, in this case, that red liquid. That's okay. That's what we want, right? That's the juice, and that's what we're looking for. We are looking for that grape juice, okay? That is what we're going to use to make our jelly. We're going to mix that with sugar, put it back on the pot or stove, and it'll be delicious, okay? Now, as I'm starting to mix this, I can see that there are some, you know, grapes that are still in whole form. So for that, let's just go in with our masher again, and we'll just mash some more, okay? The more juice, the more jelly we can get out of these grapes, the better, okay? So you're gonna wanna let this go for, again, 10 to 15 minutes until this starts to kind of slightly boil, okay? And we're starting to see a lot more liquid already, I can see. So we will let this go for another 10 minutes or so, and then I will talk you through the next steps. We will see you shortly. All right, we were back. It's been about 10 minutes. Our grape juice here is looking great. Smells like grapes. Smells actually like grape juice. Okay, you're gonna use a measuring bowl here, and we're gonna want a mesh sieve of some kind. You could use cheesecloth. I'm just using a mesh strainer here, and we're gonna just slowly pour this concoction over so that all the skins are left, and what we are left with is our delicious homemade grape juice. Now, as this is straining, okay, it's going to go back into that same pot. It's going to go back on the stove. It's going to go on high heat. This is where we're going to start to mix our sugars, okay? Now, roughly for every cup of juice, you want about 3/4 a cup of sugar, okay? If you want a little less sugar because you want it to be less sweet, you know, that's on you, but it's not going to really have that same kind of grape jelly flavor and texture. Okay, this looks good. All right, so we have got roughly about a cup, so we're going to need about 3/4 a cup of sugar to go into our mixture on the pot, or excuse me, in the pot on the stove. So I will see you back over at the stove where we're going to mix our sugars and make this. Okay, back on the stove. I've got the pot on there, high heat. We're adding our cup of grape juice, okay? Once we've added that cup of grape juice, okay, we're going to add in 3/4 cup of our sugar. Now, it is important that we whisk this continuously, okay? We do not want this sugar to burn. Now, as you start to mix it, okay, you are going to get that jelly consistency. Okay, it's just going to take time for those sugars to melt, adhere to our liquid, and become more of that jelly-like consistency that we are used to seeing. Okay, so I'm going to continue to whisk this on high heat until we have got our jelly. Once we've got our jelly, I will see you back at the counter to put together our take on the classic PB&J. All right, we're back. Now, if there is one important thing I learned, especially with the jelly, it's that it takes time and it's got to cool, okay? So you could stick it in the freezer, you could let it cool on the counter, but I would give it at least a couple of hours. Now, I was able to stick some of it in the freezer and get a little bit of a jelly consistency, but it is still very, as you can see, still very kind of watery. So we're going to use what we can from this to eat our sandwich. But if there's one strong suggestion I could make, it's that for the jelly, it needs time to just settle and solidify. So next, we just need our bread. We have our peanut butter on our sandwich. One side that will go. Now, as I make this, this brings me back to my childhood. I remember my mom, she would make these for our lunches for the week. She would make them ahead of time. She'd wrap them in aluminum foil or plastic, would stick them in the freezer, throw them in our lunch the day of, and by the time we got to lunch, it defrosted and you had a beautiful PB&J sandwich. Okay, put some of our jelly consistency here on our bread. Smells and looks like a classic peanut butter and jelly. But all that's left to do now is assemble. We'll do a little cross section here for all you people at home and take a look at that. Your classic peanut butter and jelly sandwich with my take on it. We've got a dill pickle peanut butter with a seedless red grape jelly. Cheers. This brings me back. It's like stepping into childhood all over again. Thank you so much for watching. This has been awesome to take my take on the classic peanut butter and jelly. It's creamy, it's gooey, it's soft, and it just warms your heart and brings you back. Thank you again for watching. What do you want to see me take my take on next? What's your favorite type of PB&J combo? As always, drop a comment down below, smash those buttons. Thank you again for watching. I am Mr. C, the Cook and Teach, and this is Cook and Teach out.